All right, well, welcome to Bill and Johnny's Voices of the Village podcast. We're delighted to have Russell Colemore, maker here in Ellensburg, and he's representing today. He's got the wall that heals. It's coming to Ellensburg,
right? In September, yeah.
We're so excited.
We are.
And that will be a healing opportunity for many of our veterans and their families. So, Russell, we're delighted to have you here.
All right, I appreciate that. Yes, the wall that's coming is an opportunity for our veterans to heal.
Yeah, it's very, very good. How long have you been in Ellensburg now, Russell?
Almost 6 years now.
6 years?
Yeah. I arrived here in 2018 to open up the Mule Bar. Mm-hmm. And that has sustained me for quite some time. And good. Working within the community also.
Yeah, I know you are. Well, thanks for being here today.
Okay.
And we sent you the questions, which have to do with what inspires you about the community, what challenges do we face, and how do we know if we're doing it better? So let's start with the first one. What inspires you about Ellensburg?
The opportunity for me to give back to our community. The reception has been pretty positive for the most part. It's an extension of when I was in the fire service in the military and the upbringing that I got from my parents. My parents were involved in all kinds of civic activities, from city council to the garden club.
Oh, wow.
So, and that whole gamut. Mm-hmm. So I've always had the impression that I need to, and I hope I fulfilled that, to give back to our community.
Yeah, very good.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about the garden club.
It was the Palmer Park Garden Club. Now, Palmer Park is in Hyattsville, Maryland. And Palmer Park is known for the home of Sugar Ray Leonard.
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah, I went to school with him.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
You went to school with Sugar Ray Leonard?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He lived about 3 streets down, right on the corner. His house is still there. It's pretty bad looking right now. But, yeah, we went to school together.
Oh, we darn.
Yeah.
So then did you get a green thumb from your parents?
I can't say I got that. No, I didn't get a green thumb. Though I enjoy plants, and my window at my house, my big picture window, has plants all over.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't get the green thumb, unfortunately.
You know, Phil and Russell and I, we know each other through Rotary. Phil and I are in the morning Rotary Club here in Ellensburg, and Russell is in the afternoon club, the downtown club, the cocktail hour club.
Yeah.
Yep. And so our paths often cross through Rotary and all the goodness that Russell's up to. I'm curious if you could maybe speak into that a little bit more about, to me, Rotary inspires me. I know that Rotary inspires you. And what are some of the projects that you've brought forth? Because I know they've been big projects, including the one that you've got on your shirt today.
Well, about 3 years ago, I became the community service coordinator for our downtown Rotary. One of the biggest projects that I wanted to instill in our group is, in order for us to continue to provide for our community, we need to have a fundraiser. Mm-hmm. The more monies we have, the more we're able to contribute to organizations that reach out to us. So we established our crab feed.
Oh, yeah.
Which
has been a very successful event.
Yeah, it's been very successful. We're doing it again this year, August 2nd. And throughout the community, we were just discussing this last night. Ryan Thompson.
Yeah.
Cops and Barbers are coming up on April 2nd or April 12th. We go out on April 5th and we clean up Brian Thompson Park. So it's all, good to go for all the anglers to come out there. With other projects within Rotary, we have our Peace Garden. Also out at Ryan Park, we have our Bee Garden.
I know.
Yeah. And we work with other community groups to provide whatever they need. Casa, fish, Apoyo. So as they reach out to us, again, we have the monies now to be able to help them or provide volunteers in whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, Ellensburg seems like it has quite a few civic organizations that do that kind of thing. Do you work
Uh-huh.
with other groups, and what do you see as being kind of the community involvement and service?
Uh, Kind of stumped me with that one,
Oh, I'm
Phil.
sorry.
No, 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 no. Through our community service, we're able to fill a need for not only individuals but the groups that we help.
Yeah.
And I just mentioned a few. We will continue to reach out to our community and see what they need. And like I said, the response from our community has been very
Good.
helpful
Mm-hmm.
and beneficial to us also because we feel we've met our goals to work
Yeah.
within our community.
Yeah. Very, very good.
You've integrated into the community. That's one of the things I've appreciated about you since you and I have gotten to know each other.
Yeah.
Is that you mentioned you've been here for just a few years.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and your work in the downtown has been remarkable, and then of course your work with groups, as you just mentioned, has been remarkable. I'm not sure how many thousands of dollars you've helped to put into those coffers for those organizations that need it so desperately. But I admire how much you have integrated in the community, and because of that integration, you have a really good sense of the challenges that we faced or that we do face. And so I'm curious if you could speak into from a maybe an outsider. That's probably the wrong word, but someone who is
that's a good.
you've got an objective viewpoint. Is my point.
An outsider coming in.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges that you see for us moving forward as a community?
Somewhat of a challenge initially. Look at my skin tone.
Yeah.
And
beautiful. Handsome.
And I am upfront with people and got a little pushback because there are not a lot of blacks here, not a lot of minorities that are in the forefront, and I'll use my Rotary group. Yeah, we have more minorities in our group now, but initially when I started, I was it, which is okay. I guess I've been in that situation a lot of times in my life, but I just want to show that we have a lot in common.
Oh, absolutely.
We have our differences, but we have so much in common. As long as we communicate those things, we'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ellensburg Downtown Association is it?
Yeah.
I serve on that board. Really proud of the work, as I mentioned, that you have done in the downtown, and that I'm contributing to. And one of the things that we are challenged with is we've got this university that is just 6 blocks away from downtown, and it's the most diverse campus in Washington State currently, which is beautiful. I love it. My wife is a professor there at the university. Most of her students are minority. Many of them are first generation Hispanic students who are the first in their family to get a higher education. Many of them are getting. So we were talking about my wife working at Central Washington University, and many of her students are first generation Hispanic students, and they're the first in their families to get education degrees or degrees in general, and many of them are going into education. And so I know this because my wife talks to me about all of her students. And when I walk around the downtown, I don't necessarily see that representation of students in the downtown. And so as an Ellensburg Downtown Association, we are working ardently to get students from Central to come down into the downtown to help our community really blend with the university's diversity and for our community to feel more diverse so that it's more welcoming to people like you who have darker skin tones and may feel like an outsider.
In another role, we had talked to a group of Hispanic students on campus, and one of the things they said is they wanted to see more minorities in businesses. Is that something the Downtown Association has talked about?
Yeah, it is. And so the Ellensburg Downtown Association...
working in businesses.
Yes, absolutely. The Ellensburg Downtown Association is in conjunction with Main Street America. And so these are issues that we're seeing all over the United States, where our population is changing. We have more and more people of color in our country,
yeah, we do.
and yet we don't see a representation of that in local businesses. And so working toward a solution where our businesses are more representative of our population is a big challenge.
So you mentioned, your wife giving you information about first-time Hispanic students gaining that education. I think that's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Once they get that education, they're able to build up monies in their coffers. They can, if they decide to stay here in Ellensburg, return that to the community by becoming that owner of a business downtown. The students that I've spoken with, I'll use the word they use, they feel safer on the campus than they do downtown.
I've heard the same thing.
I've heard the same thing from students.
Yeah. And then I tried to get them to expand on, what do you mean by safe? Well, I'm with my own group, or I'm with a group of students, mixed, and I feel safer being on the campus versus trying to transfer through Ellensburg, where you kind of looked at and people are not sure who you are, what you are, or why you're here. But we have a very diverse population on the campus, and I just wish they would roll over to the population here in Ellensburg. You already mentioned that the Downtown Association is working on this, and I know it's been an ongoing.
Yes.
I've heard these same statements. Mm-hmm. It's an ongoing concern. We want the students to feel, even though they're transient somewhat, we want them to feel comfortable here while they're here for their education.
Well, not only that, but it's good for business.
It's good for business.
And one of the things one of the students said was that there are certain political signs downtown sometimes that make them feel less welcome.
Right.
The presence of those is a deterrent to them.
Yeah, very true. If I can speak of the Mule, we're an all-inclusive bar.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can speak poorly of the students, you're not going to see a shot night or beer for $1 and all that like you would see at other places. But all are welcome at the Mule, and I know that goes to say for a lot of other businesses. But true, there are markers that I'm not going to give this one a try.
Yeah, and the flip side of that, the city of Olympia, one of those students we were talking with, says that the city sponsors unity signs and love signs. Mm-hmm. Love, sponsored by the city of Olympia. Right. Unity, sponsored by the city of Olympia. And businesses put those in there as a kind of a counterbalance. So when a student of color walks into a store and they see a unity sign sponsored by the city of Olympia, they feel more welcome.
Yeah, they know that's a safe haven for them. And they're not going to be judged, so to say. Mm-hmm. Just because, and I've spoken with residents here that feel that the students are just transient, so why should I care?
There's a lot of reasons to care. Financial being one of them, but there's a lot of other reasons to care.
Yeah, so there's some reasons such as morality and love and compassion and empathy and support and paying it forward to the next generation. And I mean, there's no place to stop,
right?
For reasons why. That's a great segue into our next bit. We were all working towards making Ellensburg and the surrounding areas a more peaceful, verdant community. And I'm curious, how will we know? How will we know when we're getting better? How will we know that when our communities are strengthening and we're no longer experiencing the othering that we are now experiencing, where it's us or them, where it is we are in this together?
Yeah. I think when we see functions that are supported by the city, attended, and I'm speaking of the college, attended by more students. But that's not the only demographic we need to work on. You mentioned Hispanic. We have a high Hispanic population, but they don't see themselves when they go into the stores.
Right, exactly.
They may see that individual at Fred Meyer's, possibly, or at a Bimart. But the big picture, they don't see themselves here in Ellensburg. So we need to be able to incorporate more minorities to be able to reflect the population that is changing. That's one way I think you will be able to monitor how things are changing here. People feel more comfortable. They can go out and communicate, even in their own language, with other people. You know, one student said, "I won't speak Spanish out here. You know, I just won't. People will look at me, and or if there's a group of them together and they're talking, it's like my daughter, my stepdaughter knows sign language, and every now and then I have to tell her, don't do that because we don't know what you're talking about. So we're at a disadvantage. And the same thing.
Yeah.
Once they are in their group and start speaking their native tongue, people are just, you're in America, speak English.
Oh,
sorry.
we don't have a national language for a reason.
Yeah.
You know.
When our kids were small and playing soccer and played with some of the teams in the lower valley, spoke Spanish. They most of the time guessed the kids were talking trash about them.
Right.
Even though they weren't. They were just talking normally. But
right.
We don't know. We guess in the negative, and that's the thing.
Right. The perception is that they're talking about us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're just conversing
they're just
like
talking.
We are right now.
You know, my wife and I took a trip down to Costa Rica and then into Mexico and into Cartagena, Colombia. We were gone for 77 days, and our intention was to come back fluent in Spanish. So we enrolled in schools in each of those places, and we took Spanish classes. Pero yo solo un poco español. You know, I only know a little bit, and I work so hard at it. It is such a challenge to learn a new language, and especially when we're in our 50s, which we are, or at least I'm talking about my wife and I.
You're not talking about me.
You're talking about me. You're obviously younger than that. Anyway, but it makes you smarter. You know, you rewire your brain to be more open to fluid situations.
Right.
And so that's good for us. You know what I think that as we get older, I know that as we get older, our brains start to solidify, and we're fighting that. We want to fight that, and one of the best ways to fight that solidification of our brains is to learn something. Learn how to play the guitar, the piano, an instrument of any sort, a different language.
Bass guitar.
Exactly, a bass guitar, a new skill. You know,
is that
learn
you?
something.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get the band together. I play the drums.
Excellent. I didn't know that.
I have a little piccolo I could bring on.
Okay. Well, all right. Thank you.
You're out.
We'll get the band together.
We'll get the band together.
I'll do the cowbell. How's that?
Hey, okay.
Cowbell it is.
How's your tambourine?
Yeah, I can tambourine and cowbell like crazy. Let's.
We were flowing on about music.
Yeah, we were talking about the band, and then Russell made some sort of a snide comment about my piccolo.
No piccolo. So
no,
maybe down the road.
So then I was thinking cowbell. This has been fun. It's been a good little conversation. How much time do we have left?
We have 7 minutes left.
Okay, plenty of time. What about it? We talked about students being in the downtown as a way to know that we are doing better. What about for us that we're not students and we're old guys that are walking in the downtown? What will we notice in the downtown that'll be like, oh, hey, we're doing better?
Just more acceptance of individuals that are not exactly like you. How do we measure that? By activities that, the Downtown Association has an activity at Unity Park, whatever that activity is. If there was some way to take a look at who is there, or if it's, say, we're celebrating a Hispanic celebration, who is there? Or Black History Month, who is there? That's a parameter that you can use to see if there's acceptance. And we all want to be accepted.
We all do.
That's the biggest thing I feel. We all want to be accepted as we are, not have to change or be cornered or put down for who we are.
I think it's more than acceptance.
Okay.
I think it's celebrated.
All right.
I want to be able to celebrate you, and I want you to be able to celebrate me.
Yeah, I can go with that. Yeah.
There's this idea about Ubuntu. You probably have heard about Ubuntu. I am me through you, and you are me through you. You are you through me.
Right.
And so it is. We rely upon one another to become who we fully are. To be able to actualize upon our strengths, we must have support.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that I love about relationships with kind-hearted men is that I can be myself.
Right.
I can express myself, and I can be lifted because of who I am. And that hasn't always been the case for me.
And not feel, you say kind-hearted men, not feel that, you expressing yourself, showing your emotions is going to be put down.
Yes.
Because you're supposed to be this rough individual. No, we need more kind-hearted males and females in this
being
society.
kind-hearted is such a much better way to live.
Right.
And this
You
macho stuff that doesn't
yeah,
really help
you can
anybody.
harden that heart, but it's going to solidify. It's going to end up killing you, to say the least. So if you have that flow from your heart and you can express yourself, I agree, Phil. It makes life a lot easier.
One of the people we had on the podcast earlier said, "When I see more smiles," and I thought that was just a great line.
Brilliant.
When I see more smiles, and if we see more smiles downtown from everybody, no matter what their background,
and again, there's an age concern. And again, the students I've spoken to, just a bunch of old people here.
Yeah.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
there are a few of us around.
Yeah. But there's something to glean from each individual.
There is. Everybody has a story.
Right.
Everybody.
Right.
Yep. Just taking the time and patience to understand people's stories. Know that everybody's story is equally valid, and everybody can learn from everybody because of those stories.
And I hope this doesn't take us too far off topic, but I sat down with a Republican yesterday that I know.
And you're not a Republican, I'm guessing.
No. And I just wanted to hear his side of the story.
Yeah.
And I told him, this is the reason why I brought you here. I want to know what you're feeling about this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling. And we laughed, we joked, we shared a cup of coffee.
Very
and I
good.
said, and he was amazed. He said, we need to do more of this.
Yeah, we do. He's right.
We do.
Yeah, brother.
We do need to do more.
Absolutely.
Because using this runner right here, we found out how much our paths crossed and how much we had in common.
People have a lot more similarities than differences.
Right.
But people focus on differences.
It's easier.
It's easier.
That's that hardening of the heart.
If I really want to find out who you are, we look for similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And emphasize those.
Brilliant. What a great way to end our podcast for the day.
That's a great way to end the podcast for the day.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Russell. We really appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Here. Thanks, brother.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we love you.
All right.
Thank you.
Love you too.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching today, and we appreciate you for watching. And I think the best message that we had today was something that we are more similar than we are different.
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Until next time.
All right.